I'm sitting here thinking Trump's going to milk it for all it's worth. He's going to figure out what his legal options are. He's going to go to war. I can't imagine him giving up. But now I'm kind of like, is Trump going to push it for a lawfare victory where he can jam up several states so there's no certification and then try and win? Or is that just so far-fetched? However, I'm like, think about what year it is. You know, mass pandemic lockdown, riots sweeping the country, peaking in June, all this weird, crazy stuff happening. And everyone's saying it's 2020. And I'm like, it doesn't really mean anything. It's like superstitious. But Friday the 13th is coming up.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
It sure is.
Well, that changes everything.
It changes everything.
Everything.
Forget everything I said in this conversation.
All bets are off, man.
I think he's going to push it, man.
You
I think he's going the distance because the amount of secret votes.
I think so.
Basically, how many votes got counted in secret of the?
Well, they're claiming 450,000 were counted without meaningful excess.
And this is just in one place. But
hold on. There's also a sworn affidavit that ballots were coming in the middle of the night. We have a Georgia GOP guy who said at like 4 a.m. they said we're not counting anymore, so everyone needs to leave. And then once they left, they started counting again. So there's a bunch of these claims.
And this is on top of computer programs. Testimony, Florida testimony, congressional testimony of a guy saying he built a program that flips a vote 5149. You can look it up on YouTube.
That was a long time ago.
It was like 2001 or something.
Yeah.
This is like 20-year-old technology.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And then this comes out, this Air Force general starts telling us about this program called Scorecard.
So
this computer.
I don't know about
and this
Wait,
scorecard
hold on,
program. I know. I don't know either. But like, this is a big deal.
Hold on. Before you say that, we gotta know who's this guy.
He's a Air Force general, and I don't have his name offhand, but he was on Steve Bannon's War Room explaining the Hammer supercomputer and the scorecard software.
See, I don't know anything about this. I don't know how to.
I actually did listen to a press conference yesterday from the Secretary of State, or it was an election administrative official who was a Republican in Georgia who addressed rumors about whatever that is that you're talking about. So I don't know the full details, but he said it was a hoax, and this is a Republican. And I don't know, maybe he's not correct, or he's in on it, or he's like he's a deep state operator. I don't know. But I would have to look for a little bit further into what you're just talking about. Isn't
it weird though that they published a poll from Reuters? It says nearly 80% of Americans say Biden won White House, ignoring Trump's refusal to concede.
Okay.
I'm like, when did we ever need a poll to tell people Americans think Joe Biden won?
It's so much manipulation right now.
This is I don't know.
This is
this just
on
me?
Multi levels of manipulation too.
I agree.
I think that is interesting. I mentioned before we started, I'm curious now if in 2000 there were polls run in this interregnum period before Bush was declared winner, about just asking people who they think won the election as opposed to who do they favor, just who do you think won? Because then it wouldn't be totally unprecedented. But it is. The impetus for polling like that is that Trump hasn't conceded the election. So
right.
It makes some sense why they would run those polls, but it is sort of curious.
Weird.
Yes,
curious.
A little bit weird.
I'm saying,
but but it's 2020, so I'm not surprised at the weirdness.
Yeah, I don't rule anything
out. If the results came in and they said we're calling it for Biden, and then they just shut up, I would be like, yeah, that's it.
I got this guy's name, Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney.
How do you spell it?
Thomas McInerney, Lieutenant General of the Air Force, I believe.
I can't spell that. What did you say?
McInerney.
Oh, McInerney.
Yep.
McInerney.
Yeah, this guy's legit.
McInerney?
Yeah, he's big time.
83 years old. This is the guy.
Yeah.
Former Air Force fighter pilot.
Retired
Vietnam
in
War.
Oh wow.
So this guy went on Bannon's show and claimed that they had the ability to manipulate elections.
Basically, they've been using this software as a spying tool against terrorist organizations, and now they've turned it. Apparently, according to him, they've turned it on the people to use it for voter fraud.
I'll tell you, there's a Media Matters is calling Hammer the new conspiracy theory. See, this is the thing. I don't care for this stuff. You know why? We don't need it.
It is a conspiracy.
No.
Who conspired? Was it the American government against ISIS? And now it's
no.
Who cares?
We don't need these accusations or stories. It doesn't have anything to do, and it's a distraction.
It's calling the entire thing into question for me.
And it creates a discussion where regular people say you're insane, and I don't want to hear it anymore.
Well, I think the real discussion is that paper ballots are malfunctioned, and that we need to go online onto a blockchain or some sort of immutable database. Otherwise, you're going to be counting votes in back rooms for ages to come, and you're going to be relying on people's trust.
Paper ballots are what provide some degree of security in the authenticity of elections, I would think. Not, if it goes 100%. I mean, that was the move after 2016, and it kind of shed light on some of the Democratic inconsistency, because people, when they were hearing all these allegations from Democrats that, Russia must have hacked Wisconsin or something, they were saying, okay, if you want a legislative fix to that, let's institute nationwide paper ballots so that we can go and verify after the election, and nothing happened on it.
You have hard documents. Yeah. If we go digital, someone could just draft a bunch of fake ballots, and there's nothing to look at.
But the thing is, you don't have the hard ballots.
What are you talking
and you
about?
don't know who does. No, you don't. We don't.
So
I saw them in a warehouse in Georgia. They do have them.
Yes.
Did you though?
Did
you look at each one? Were you able to?
They're required statutorily to keep them for.
Who's they? And where do they keep them? And how do you know what they are?
Hold on, calm down. Just because you don't know doesn't mean there's a conspiracy.
And I'm not allowed to know.
No, that's not true.
You could walk in and you could talk to the county election official who will explain it to you.
And you have to rely on him telling you the truth.
Sure, but you can stand there while they bring the ballots in, watch them pull the ballot out, look at the ballot, watch them open it, see who was voted for. You can watch all that. The problem is Donald Trump's lawsuit is stating they blocked that. That's the issue. So in that
capacity,
one
level of an issue. Yeah.
In that capacity, you are correct. So Trump is creating a legal challenge to 450,000 ballots because they blocked meaningful access, like they were actually supposed to.
This hammer scorecard thing's another level completely.
Right now,
I'm talking about.
No. We don't.
This Trump thing is good.
When you come out to regular people and say there's a top secret military program called Hammer Scorecard.
Well, there's PRISM. I mean, Edward Snowden dropped that bomb.
Yes, of course. And I'm saying when you go to regular people and you say that, they tell you you're insane. It is.
No one's told me I'm insane,
dude.
I'm just quoting an Air Force general.
You live in a world where regular working class people don't. And if you go knock on someone's door right now and say they stole the election with hammer,
I'm not forcing it down someone's throat.
I'm
just bringing it up, man.
And they're going to be like, this guy's crazy.
Well, you're allowed to say that,
dude. And yes,
I
so
advise
do you want a legal
challenge?
Do you want a legal challenge? Do you want to make sure that
I think it's just.
So what you need is a sound legal argument that is within the realm of basic understanding.
This stuff's conspiracy. There's no proving any of it. That's the problem.
Exactly.
It's just insanity.
So what we can see is there's anomalies. Like, did you see that some of the jurisdictions violated Benford's law of numbers?
That I don't know.
So Benford's law of numbers is that...
Just to respond to you really quickly, though, before I forget, is I think you're right on some level, and I'm not even sure that if you didn't go knock on the door of some regular working class person who's not overly attuned to politics, that they wouldn't be receptive to some argument. Okay, what a Air Force general said this, because a lot of people don't have a lot of instinctive faith in the veracity of our institutions, including the media, including the government. So, I don't know that would be too much of a stretch in order to convince somebody of. But the point is, you have to if you want to actually establish what it is that you're positing beyond just vague assumptions about the corruption of stuff, you have to go a little further than there was something said in 2001 about some program. There should be evidence that's attainable that would substantiate what you're saying.
Oh, I would love it if we could somehow get our hands on a CIA program.
But then again, why wouldn't this have been the case in 2016?
For all we know, it was. I mean, it's crazy.
So they put Trump in and then they took him out.
We actually were going crazy with conspiracies earlier, just kind of having fun, and that was one of them.
Yeah, well, but this was just silly.
Yeah, and then their HAARP is going to make volcanoes explode.
That was you,
that
not
was me.
we were saying a whole lot of what ifs, what if the Russians really did hack it. So, but we were being silly. But
what if Trump was the ultimate deep state agent all along?
No, hold on. This is a real conspiracy theory. It started during the election that Hillary Clinton and Trump were actually friends.
Which they were at one time.
And I have a photo from
Hillary attended his wedding and everything.
I was at Fort Lauderdale, and there were protesters outside of a Trump rally holding a picture of the Clintons and Trump together. And they were saying they're friends, they're in on it, it's all rigged. And that's why Hillary Clinton didn't challenge the election. She went, I wasn't supposed to lose, because that was the intent. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying that's what people think.
If it were remotely possible for Hillary Clinton to have ascended to the presidency, she would have pursued that vigorously.
Right.
I don't care how friendly they were if she attended his wedding in Mar-a-Lago.
So back to Benford's law. This is something that people keep bringing up over and over again. I'm not a mathematician. I can't tell you if this is true. This is one of the things that we're seeing pop up on the internet. And Benford's law is that if you were to go throughout your day writing down numbers, you would see more ones than twos, more twos than threes, more threes than fours. So quite literally, you're walking down the street, you see a mailbox, and then you're like, I'm going to write down the mailbox. It's 4317. And you keep doing that. Then you tabulate how many fours you found. you will have more 3s than 4s, and it creates a sliding scale.
Huh.
So a bunch of people are posting various jurisdictions that voted where Biden's vote totals violate Benford's law, meaning there's wild numbers. This is important because we've actually, international auditors have used Benford's law as justification for or probable cause of voter fraud. And that's why people are now bringing it up. The other thing I'll mention is I got a tweet right here. I said, BBC is going to have to retract this old article titled, quote, "Vote Rigging, How to Spot the Telltale Signs." Because two of the things they point to that show voter fraud is a delay in announcing results, which we had, and we still do, a serious delay with several states, and also voter turnout numbers that exceed 98 or 99%. They go on to mention in this article from the BBC from 2016, when they're auditing elections in, say, Africa, the reason why getting voter turnout above 90 or 95% is typically impossible is because people move and people die. Thus, in places like Australia, where you can vote by mail and online, and it's compulsory, they still only get around 90 to 95% voter turnout. Yet, I have a tweet. UCF tweeted, "Since 2017, our campus has been recognized as a voter-friendly campus. Today, UCF's voting precinct 538, topped the 100% voter turnout in the 2020 election at 107.56%. My response was, the BBC is going to have to retract this article because certainly it's not fraud or impropriety in our country, right?
Well, what's so hilarious is that, and this is sort of tangentially related, but in October or November of last year, there was a presidential election in Bolivia, and Evo Morales ended up being ousted in a coup because we were told there were too many election irregularities for it to have been legitimate. And a lot of it stemmed from the fact that rural precincts, which were more pro-Morales, the votes were tabulated later on because it took a while due to the infrastructure or whatever. But really, it didn't take that long compared to the United States. Again, we're still sitting around here a week later. We don't have calls in Georgia.
What's going on in Alaska?
Arizona, or even Alaska.
Yeah. They're like carrying the bag of ballots like from Barrow, Alaska to
Apparently,
Anchorage.
on foot.
Even in New York, I checked as of last night. If you look at the number of precincts reporting in, or number of the vote reporting in like Manhattan or Queens or Westchester, it's like 50 or 60%. So if New York actually was critical in terms of determining the outcome, there would be even a bigger uproar, because who knows what's happening there administratively. But the U.S. never applies the same standards that it uses to berate and lecture other countries, which are supposedly less exceptional than us, as it applies to itself. I mean, I thought wasn't this a country that like imposed democracy on Iraq and Afghanistan and everything?
Well,
and we still can't even but we can't even like get results from Arizona a week later. It's
so crazy that it's taken this long. There's never been anything even like a tenth of this bizarreness, like lengthwise. Well, has it ever stretched out more than 2 days after the election day?
Well, yes, I mean,
so in Florida 2000 stretched
a month and a half.
No,
not
37 days.
37
days.
It was, 37 to 38.
Well, then they never even the Supreme Court intervened to prevent them from finishing the recount in Florida, so that wasn't even completed. Right?
We've had an election where there was a tie, and a council was created of Democrats, Republicans, lawyers, and judges who then decided the outcome of the election. Totally outside of the Constitution. I think it was 1876.
When Al Franken was first elected to the Senate in Minnesota in 2008, it was so close against Norm Coleman that it wasn't decided until the following July, if I'm not mistaken. So July 2009.
Wow.
So it can take forever, especially when the margins are so close. But, this is the most powerful country in world history. We have so much financial, economic, cultural, social power, and we can't get it together to have efficient election administration.
In regards to Florida and the 2008 one, is that who did you say it was that took until Al Franken's
Al
thing?
Franken, yeah.
Were the votes tallied the day of, but then there was they had to do recounts?
They had to do recounts.
So it's never been this case where the votes haven't even been tallied yet a week later.
I don't know.
I have to double check on that. I mean, I think I did take...
Well, hold on. Think about it this way. Certification happens on December. Electoral college certification is the 14th of December. That's
first states have to certify, and then electors are appointed. And
that's
then
like
they
the 5th,
then
right?
they formally meet at the Electoral College in like mid-December. If that's what it was in 2016.
Okay. Tim's
Yeah,
finding this
I'm trying to
for us.
pull up the app, like the actual timeline of how
we
the
can
Electoral
look
College.
at it.
Good, because I'm seething.
Oh.
So anyway, the point is, back in the day, we didn't have the internet. You'd be like, you'd walk to the swimming hole where there's like, you know, Billy Jenkins and be like, I got your ballot right here, son. And you'd be like, fill it out, and you'd give it to him and just cross your fingers, I guess. And then he puts on the post, the guy rides the horse to the Capitol, and then you're just like, well, I voted. And then that's it. You never know what happened to it.
Today, it takes like 2 weeks before they'll even tell you to confirm your vote.
But I mean, like, the idea that we're getting the night result, like we turn the TV on and they're like, here's the president. That's like, we didn't have that back then. You know, before TV and radio, like 1800s, you'd be like, I wonder who the president is.
Oh, so they'd always be counting the votes would be coming in from.
That probably that
maybe,
too, because they didn't have the transport technology. So it would be like votes would be coming in randomly over a certain span of time.
But with the internet, you would think that we would have gotten better at counting our votes.
You think so?
Well, I mean, Florida, for example, has gotten a lot better.
They learned their lesson.
They did. I mean, they actually instituted legislative reforms after 2000 that very much made their system more efficient. And I think we're probably going to see something like that in some of these other states, especially given this conversion to
I hope
mail-in voting. But I mean, another complication is that in Florida, they were permitted to count their mail-in voting before Election Day. Whereas begin the counting so they could announce, so the winner would be apparent on election night. But in Pennsylvania, they weren't permitted to do that by state law.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. And we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.